Greetings, flesh creatures. It is I, Megatron. On behalf of TFYLP, I want to congratulate you for listening to the most refined collective podcast on this miserable little planet Earth. Yes. Here you'll find knowledgeable fans discussing every aspect of Transformers and beyond. Now, enjoy the show while I continue my path to complete conquest of all of you miserable biological entities. Predacons, terrorize!
Hi, welcome to TFYLP episode, I don't know, what is it, 5? Is it 513 tonight? 512?
I was told there'd be no math.
Right?
It's a lot of episodes.
Anyway, we are live tonight. It is Monday, January 16th. I'm Lucas. I'm joined tonight by Christian.
What up?
And Phil.
Hi. She doesn't make a buzzing noise. I feel like she should make a buzzing noise, but she doesn't.
She does not.
No. Twitch in the house.
And then I think Paul might be joining. I don't know. Paul, you in here somewhere?
Yeah, I am, but my camera is not turning on.
No, it's not.
Hey.
Hi, Ron.
Root of it.
So anyway, Zaldrun said that he just imagines that there's some great conversation that's going on, but we forgot to hit the go live button. And man, that is a definite
Not
possibility.
true.
That wasn't true tonight, but I could see it. I could definitely see it happening.
It's possible.
So yeah, I
there's been moments of
apologize.
that.
I apologize for the late start tonight. I had other, kid things going on, and it ran late, and so I had to start late, and I was trying to gather the crew, with the late start. So
Yeah, let's just
Whatever,
face
we're
it,
here now.
everyone. There are more important people in Lucas's lives than you jabronis. So just suck it up and deal with it.
well, I think my wife would kill me if it's like I was putting this podcast ahead of all of them. So she's
I
a
was
saint.
thinking of your kids, not necessarily your
Right.
wife.
Right. Well, both. But
Yeah.
yeah. So she's a saint as it is that she, puts up with all of this. I'm sure, we all have a similar story with all that.
I think my wife is like, no,
Yeah,
please
totally.
go down in your basement. I can watch my shows and not have you criticize them.
It's true.
You
that a smoke
definitely
detector?
have someone like that.
Well, yeah. I mean,
Dude, you
I
got
guess-
that.
Yeah.
You got that thing in your pad, man.
Awkward. So yeah, how's the new place, Christian?
It's the same as it was last week.
There you
Actually,
go.
There's 3 fewer decimals over there now.
Oh, I would think when you're moving in somewhere, you'd have more detolfs.
They went upstairs.
Ah, okay. Gotcha. Was there an
I'm working
upstairs
on
in the
stuff.
last place?
No, that was an
Oh,
apartment.
so now there is an upstairs for things to go. That's
Now there's
cool.
an
There
upstairs.
you go.
Yeah, moving up in the world, literally.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you could always just get more Detos.
I think I'm doing Billy's now.
Ooh, there you go.
I have 2 of them already.
Uh-huh.
What are the
Working on
Billies
that
again?
next. Bookcases. They're behind
Sure.
Lucas right now.
Yeah, the things behind
okay.
me are Billy's. That's the
Gotcha.
same thing that Rob has. So I have Besta's upstairs.
I'm trying to copy Rob as best I can.
Not Destro?
Well, you got too much facial hair here and not enough here.
Well, I trimmed it all off. I was close last week, but now
Okay.
I found my trimmer from the move, so now we're back in business.
Did you sneeze and it all just came back?
No, thankfully.
Okay. I'm just assuming your beard just like grows like that.
I mean, not really. I just cut it to 2 inches. We're all good.
All right, so tonight in men's grooming habits, what do we got on the agenda?
Oh, hey. Oh, look who finally joined us.
Hey, I had to troubleshoot very quickly.
Yeah.
Good job.
Nothing
Yeah.
like troubleshooting on the fly. It's always the best whenever this happens to me, because then it all like impacts the show overall. Whereas, like you can hop in and hop off.
Yeah, because I'm not important at all.
Oh crap! I just
Big.
realized. Yeah, no, I just realized I didn't actually look at the issue that apparently whenever someone makes a comment, it dings on the podcast, and I didn't realize this, and so
I think it's because you probably have your system audio track up enough, and that means any sound in your computer goes into the feed.
Ooh, I wonder if I switch it.
That's how you can play sweet tunes.
Okay, here, let me see here.
Oh, is someone like breaking up a bag of ice upstairs in your house?
Nope.
Okay. Just hearing like thumping.
Yeah, it sounds loud there.
Just tons of people banging.
Yeah. Okay,
All right,
so
well,
I
good for them.
switched it. I switched you guys from system audio to Skype audio. So I don't know if that we'll see if that helps it. So let me
Now,
know
no one
if
can
you
hear
guys,
us.
viewers, if you can hear the ding. Now
They probably
Or us.
They probably can't hear anything now.
Probably can't hear us
now.
now.
Yeah, what you have to there's a mixer thing that shows like all these sound
Right.
channels, and one of them is system audio. If you just take that down, it'll like
No, I know, but that's what I did.
EQ.
So
Okay.
like on the mixer thing, the sound levels, I have my mic, right, which is a separate feed. Then I have the Skype audio and system.
Yeah, that should be all you need. That should be all you need. Skype audio.
Right. So that's what I had you guys on system audio before, so I switched it over to Skype audio. So they are confirming they can hear us, so that's at least a step in the right direction. So
What's the audio setting that'll randomly just like pipe in sounds of Rick eating while we're all talking?
That's called Rick being on the show.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's the setting.
yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. We can all
That-
hear the
that's
same
the setting.
banging. So they said that the ding is gone, but the banging is here. So I don't know whoever's banging in the background. So
It's people not involved with this podcast. Sorry.
yes, we will do our best to annoy all of the listeners with the various audio issues. So
Yeah. Don't forget to smash that like.
I think
Like and
last
subscribe.
week, whenever you said that, someone smashed the dislike button, which I didn't even realize was still a thing anymore.
What?
Dang.
You
Yeah.
jerks! How dare you?
Dang.
Yeah, just telling you.
Me Grimlock kick like button.
Yeah, seriously. What he said.
Yeah, so Zaldron says
Oh
that
man, if we can
Paul
get him
is
to do that as audio, that'd be great.
what?
If we could get him to do that audio, that would be phenomenal.
Sure, we could get him to
I'm
do
sure
a
we
cameo
could.
or whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Lucas
I don't
knows
think
him
it'd be a
personally.
problem.
He's on Christmas card terms with him.
Creative ideas are supposed to be kept below the belt, Phil. Not public.
Yeah,
There's a
but
lot of things that keep below the belt.
Jesus
Yeah.
Christ, alien, decrees it.
It's a lot of work involved with that. I mean, so it's just planning the preparation and
Lucas, this is what I hear right now. I hear it.
right. So anyway, so yeah, how's the battle at Autobot City going on back there in the background there, Paul?
That's
think-
what the banging is.
Yes.
It's yeah. I think everyone took a Christmas break, so it's kind of calm right now.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah.
So
It must be warm because you're wearing short sleeves.
Yeah, I'm sure the Tet offensive is coming any day now.
It's like the one random thing you remember from history class. It's just like, I don't even know what it is. The Ted offensive. Yeah.
I go to sleep to a lot of history YouTubers, so yes, know what the Tet offensive is.
So, Phil, by the way, one of our listeners said that they did know who Skip Bayless was. So, you're not the only one.
He's not like just some like Lucas. You know this obviously.
I know.
He's
I
not
know
just
who
some
is
like
who.
random like no name guy. He's fairly famous.
To be fair,
I still don't know.
To be fair,
in certain circles.
the Venn diagram.
He's more famous than the dudes we talk about.
Right.
Okay.
That is true. Yes, if you ask the average person on the street, like
Who's Peter Cullen versus who is Skip Bayless?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I was gonna say like one of
your
the
audience.
other voice actors, like Peter Cullen, they might have a chance of knowing. Probably not though. Still, but anyway.
They know his characters far more than they know him.
Right.
1 billion people know who Optimus Prime is.
Yeah.
500,000 tops know who Peter Cullen is.
Yep. Anyway,
Which is still a shitload.
So tonight, our topic is Transformers budgeting for your collection in general. So Ron says he knows who Skip is too. So there you go. We do have a consensus. It sounds like.
Bonus points if you know who Rick Bayless is.
I know that one.
Yep. It's somewhat more of a local thing.
So.
Good for you guys. I'm glad you know who all these people are. That's
Rick
super,
Bayless
super cool.
is Skip Bayless's brother and is a internationally renowned chef.
Cool.
See,
Congrats to the two of them, I guess.
We're learning all kinds of things now. So, tune in next week for our reviews of Top Chef. I don't know what season they're on, but anywho. Yeah, so we're going to talk about budgeting, collecting budgeting, I guess, in general. I figured that, since it's the new year and, a lot of times people have New Year's resolutions, maybe it might be good to discuss it. Also, I myself, have some additional expenses for other, just random, like things breaking down and whatnot. And so I may actually have to start setting a budget myself. So I figured I would have some of the experts on about, budgeting for collecting. So.
All right, man.
So let me tell you how this is going to go.
We're talking about Skip Bayless. He's a hot take artist. I want to start with a hot take.
Okay.
For budgeting, in this day and age, pre-orders are not your friends.
In this economy.
In this shipping setup that we have right now. In this scenario that we have when it comes to shipping dates and expectations around shipping and the fact that you get charged for your pre-order once it is ready to ship, pre-orders, if you are working on a budget, are not your friends.
If only there was a store we knew that took payment up front.
Well, that store
there's a
not
price
your friend if
for
you're on a budget.
Yeah, there's a price for that. I was going to say this is how this is going to go. Lucas, you are a human being, a mortal entity. Christian,
supposedly.
Christian is an angel who's on your right shoulder.
Mm.
I am a devil, and I am on the left shoulder. I don't know where Phil is. I think he might be your actual guiding light conscience here. But by the end of this episode, let's see whose influence takes over. I think it will be Christian.
So
No. Peter is the ultimate devil when it comes to purchasing of Transformers and blowing through a budget.
It doesn't really fit the metaphor, but yes.
No, he's worse than you, Paul. And by worse, I mean he's got more toys than you.
Yeah, but he's not on the show. So
yeah, but he has more Starscreams than you.
Yep.
I will say, if you ever are considering purchasing something like a Transformer toy robot, and you like send a note to Peter or ping him on Facebook or whatever on the group and say, Peter, should I buy this? The answer will always be yes.
Not true.
Really? Oh, what? Christian, fill me in.
1 out of 100.
He told me not to buy those stupid Moon Studio railbots.
Oh.
He knew I wouldn't. He and I have been talking about getting a ride-in for years at this point, and he knew I wouldn't like them, And he was like, Christian, you're not going to like these. I know what you collect. Don't buy them. And I bought them anyway. And I hate them. He was right. They're terrible. I don't even have them here anymore. They're with Orson trying to get sold. Like, I hate them so much. The end by Christian.
That's just the sweetest song I've heard all year.
We'll come back to the idea behind that a little later.
Well, I guess the question, you want to start a budget, Lucas. Which side of the coin do you want to start with?
Well, so here's first my question, right? Is do any of you guys currently have a budget that you're trying to stick to for collecting?
Yes. Of course.
No, I have limits.
Do you?
Or yeah.
I mean, we all have limits. I would say.
Do we?
Yeah, there's a final limit. There's a terminal, like, you can't. There's a point where you have to go fast enough to be able to escape the gravity of the Earth, and most of us can't get there.
Well, for example, there is a prototype Unicron, I guess, right? That's on eBay or something like that, right? And for $5,500, right? Like, that's out of my ballpark. Like, we're not even a consideration, right, for the budget.
Yeah, I saw someone on the show considering it.
I was considering it. Just because the offer was out there, and I thought that'd be cool. But then I remembered, wait, I could have bought one of these a long time ago. And I didn't give a shit then. It's just that now it was on eBay, and there was, like, a price tag there, and it, like, had a certain mystique about it. It's like, it's weird. It's illogical. Like I said, I could have, if I wanted one of those, I could have gotten it a while ago. I don't even remember what the price was from the seller. It was probably less than this current one. But the Unicron rigmarole and, like, mystique has accelerated since those days. So I'm not getting it. But it also makes you really, like, if you, I'm to the point where, like, $5,500 for a toy is something I will not balk at sometimes. It's not good.
Yeah, Mr. Flex over here.
It's not good. It's not a smart thing to do.
Yeah, so budget step 1, don't do that.
Well, and I feel like just in general, I don't know about you guys, but I feel like my budget has went up through the years where, I don't know, whatever, 5 years ago, something like that, I probably wasn't spending as much on Transformers as what I do, or, I don't know, like maybe it was longer than that. I mean, there was definitely a stretch where, I personally was collecting everything. I was collecting the Masterpiece and third party and mainline, and that's a lot. And so I scaled back from that. So I kind of set limits as far as what I was collecting. I know, Christian, you were going to hit on that. But like, I never set a financial, like, oh, this is like, I'm going to spend this, or I'm going to spend that kind of thing. So.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a couple ways you can look at a budget. To me, the healthier way would be to look at, what is your monthly budget overall, and where do toys fit into that? Now, if there is a month where you've got a HasLab coming up for sale, and you've got a budget, to me, I kind of dig HasLabs for budgeting, because the exact date you're going to get charged for that thing. So it's somewhat easier to budget for that. And this is why I said pre-orders are not your friends, because especially lately, pre-orders have been coming in earlier than anticipated. And a lot of folks had November and December just blow up for them in terms of the number of toys they got charged for and shipped out. And this is in terms of the consumer and the retailer. So, but if you've got an overall budget of like, hey, this is what I can spend per month, then you can factor in a bigger purchase into that. And you can factor in all right, this is how much I've got to, this is how much I'm spending on entertainment for the month. This is how much I'm spending on, new clothes, video games, whatever. And this is how much I'm going to spend on toys. And then, you take from a couple of the other buckets when you got a big purchase like a HasLab, or, there's a convention coming up that you want to attend.
Well, I would argue with some of that stuff that it is...
Why? I was right. Don't argue with me.
I was going to say, I feel like it is a little predictable. Okay, like, obviously conventions, like, we know when they're going to occur, so you can budget, for that. As far as, I guess, the, like, mainline, like, we kind of have an idea of, when the various waves are going to hit. So we don't know exactly, like, there might be something that shows up, in January instead of February or March or something like that, like where there's like a little bit of movement in between the months. For the most part, like, we know that we're going to get, 4 waves a year or whatever of Legacy, and then we're, probably going to get a couple waves of Studio Series. For that, obviously, the Masterpiece, I think they usually set dates for that, like once they announce it, right? And they usually stick to that. This third party is kind of the one that's a little bit unpredictable, where it could come at, it could come out in 3 years or it could come out in 2 months.
Yeah, I mean, I think in theory you're right, Lucas, but then I think there's, and this is again where I say pre-orders are not your friends if you want to be on a budget. And Ron pointed this out earlier, like most mainline stuff, now not every mainline, you might miss out on some mainline stuff, but most mainline stuff you can get for a lower price if you're patient, if you wait.
Right.
And so then if you want to stretch your budget, there's things that you can do to help with that. And that's why pre-orders are not necessarily your friends if you're working on a budget.
Also, like, are you a completist? Are you not? Do
If
you
you're
need
a
everything?
completist, stop doing that. That's step 2. Don't do that. That will kill your budget. Unless it won't, in which case, more power to you. But if it does, stop it. That's easy. Don't do it.
Yeah,
you
like,
don't have to buy everything.
Well, you're assuming everyone is destitute and like doesn't have enough money. Some people do want to get the whole line.
I'm not assuming destitute, but yeah.
Okay.
I would say if you're a completist, then you're probably not so much concerned about budgeting.
That's probably true.
Well, it actually should be pretty easy to budget if you're completist, because you know what's coming out. It's at worst 12 new deluxes a year, 4 per case. But typically they recreate certain characters. Like they're re-releasing Tarantulas in Legacy Evolution. So there's a figure you don't need again, unless you're a packaging completionist, and then that's all. Yeah, there's no budget there. But like you can kind of guess how much it's going to cost a year if you want all the toys at retail.
Right.
And it doesn't change. It hasn't changed for the last like 3 years. They've kept it pretty consistent. All right, well, barring exclusive. Well, that's certainly. But your budget has to change with that too, because of course when everything inflates, everyone's wages go up with that. So it's no problem. You don't really have to adjust much.
Or you just go on a diet and eat less calories per day.
Christian, that was a joke.
Just checking.
Didn't. Yeah.
Just you got to really deadpan at that time.
Because I live in an alternate world where 9/11 never happened. Like.
Wow.
Oh, demonetized. Sorry.
Oh, thanks a lot. All the money we make from this is gone.
Yeah.
Now I can't budget it.
Now we can't pay for our toys. But I guess what I'm saying is, if you. Every year's a little different. Like if you collect, like I'm a character collector. Some years are heavy on Starscream. Sometimes they're not. Like there hasn't really been any ever since MP52. It's like the stuff's pretty easy to get. So sure, I don't really have to budget because I'm not trying to get everything that is in the toy line. And I think that kind of goes back mostly to what you kind of stated, Lucas, is you cut back on what you collected. You reined it in, and that can also help you with your budget.
Yes, that is truly step one. Other than, don't buy $5,500 things and don't do collections. Be focused on what you collect, or don't, but know what you want. That's probably better than be focused.
It's also tricky if, like I mentioned, it's easy if you're buying current, upcoming, like staying current with the toy line.
Yes.
If you're like chasing old stuff, that's a whole different story because
that is a whole other story.
You don't know when the unicorn's gonna materialize out of nowhere, and then guess what?
Ready.
And then another one does, and then another one, like all in the same month, and you've been waiting 5 years for all three of those things to show up. That's when Peter says, "Just buy it, because you may never see it again."
Especially if your unicorn is Battle Unicorn, and then you just get double unicorn action right there.
I guess that's true.
So I think
Unicorn squared.
what Anna was talking about having a $10,000 budget.
Like for the year?
I don't know. Well, because Zaldron was saying that it's about $1,000 for all of mainline. But I thought it was.
Oh man, I did that math before I moved. I don't have it anymore. It's more than that.
It's more than that with all the exclusives, because I think that's. I think that's kind of the issue, because I feel like that the exclusives, that there's more of those now than there used to be, and so if you're just looking at what's at retail, and not counting exclusives, like I think it'd probably be about 1,000, wouldn't it? Roughly.
Well, the deluxes are just 25.
Yeah, so
that's just like legacy, because if it's
right,
you're counting all generation,
right.
counting everything, like it's
if you're throwing in like Earthspark / Cyberverse and Studio Series, now you're ratcheting up what that is, and then are you going to consider the retail released MPs in that, because I guess that's not mainline per se, but that is a retail release.
Right. But I think that's like, for me personally, that I said, okay, I'm, going to stop collecting the Masterpiece, and I'm only going to focus on, mainline stuff. But then I feel like the mainline, it's almost kind of like Marvel Legends, where, the amount is somewhat getting out of hand. I don't know if you guys feel the same way or not, but it seems like it's ramping up a little bit. Like the number of figures that we get per year is higher than it used to be.
Oh, it's a lot higher than it used to be, and they're more expensive than they used to be.
Well, yeah.
There's like 100 new Transformers every year. Wow.
And as we determined in the chat over the last week, because I brought up like, hey, did anyone have a new character as their top 5 Transformers for the year? And we're all just like, Catherine was the only one. It's like, so yeah, of those 100 new transforming toys, there's 3 actually new Transformers, maybe 5 or 6. So
kind of
maybe 150 or so.
What's that?
Maybe about 150.
Yeah. So like you're talking like low.
No, 150 new characters.
What?
Yeah, don't you feel like there should be a new character in every wave or something?
I kind of do, man.
Like there really.
I get why Studio Series wouldn't, but yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, there's no story around Legacy or whatever, so like just do something crazy, Yeah. I guess the Junkions is what we're getting, and then
Yes, that is.
Because I'll tell you what, like people want Thrash and Twitch because they're new. They want them. Like new character, whatever they did with those characters, it's good. I mean, I haven't seen the whole show, so I don't know if Nightshade's cool, but like hopefully, yes.
Nightshade is nothing right now. They just got introduced in the last episode, so we got to wait for the next group of episodes.
Yeah.
What is she even going to turn into?
We don't know yet.
They don't have an
alt
mode yet.
Yeah, no, that's going to be an interesting thing. Like, what will we see her alt mode in first, the toy or the cartoon? And she's still sort of in a proto-form state, so will we see her will the toy be of the protoform state? Because it kind of looks like the protoform state on the back of the box, or is that going to be her, alt mode state? I would assume it's going to be her alt mode state.
No, it's a fictional character, but they do use they them pronouns, not she her pronouns.
You're right. I apologize for that, and that is a point that the show does specify. So, yeah, Nightshade's a cool looking character, and I hope they do good on the toy, because Twitch is
not terrible, not good, not what the show is about.
Right. I got some QC issues.
Not great, not terrible.
Right.
Things
but
don't-
I
things
think
don't
that
happen.
kind of does, kind of add into some of the budget stuff, because, as far as, for the most part, I tried not to collect those, the Cyberverse Deluxes, that you guys got into. I did end up getting a few, for, I kind of said, oh, it's for the kids and whatever, and I gave it to them, and then they didn't care about it, but, and then I think I sold them to Anna, but, so.
Yeah, that goes along with focus, or at least know yourself. And that's the point I wanted to come back to with my train bots. I don't like masterpiece Transformers. I don't like overly complicated Transformers. Those Moon Studio train bots are both of those things. And I got so caught up in trying to get a ride-in that wasn't, the official MP, because those were way too expensive. I was like, I'll just get these and it'll be fine. It was not fine. But you know what? I actually do enjoy the official ones. Those are labeled masterpiece, but they're really more Generation Z, and they're just really expensive, and I have to eat it. I've got to put that in my budget somewhere.
I don't think
Yes,
you have to eat it, Christian.
That's true. I sent them away to a different state in hopes that they would sell, and they didn't. But maybe they'll sell next time, because they needed to be out of my house. I was so mad at them. Like, they look
I don't
pretty.
think you
They
need
look
to
like they
eat-
shouldn't be complicated, but like Paul texted, I don't know if you can see it on the stream. He put a text message in his window that said, "Know thyself." And that's true. Know what you like. Know what you want to collect. And if that sometimes is, a Cyberverse or Earthspark Deluxe like Twitch or Thunderhound, you're like, I want to try that out. Go ahead. But don't commit to, $600 combiners when you don't like those things.
Well, Christian, going back to Phil's point about how hard it is month by month to plan around pre-orders. So you've been doing this budgeting for a while now. So my question with that is, how do you handle that?
Okay, so how it works out in the real world versus how I'm trying to handle it are two different things, but they're getting closer. But a couple years ago, I decided that I really needed to start tracking how much I was spending on this hobby, because I feel like it was a lot, but I didn't know. I was just, looking at my current bank statements or credit card accounts and saying, do I have enough for this thing right now? And if the answer was yes, I'd go get it just on a whim, yay. And so once I started tracking, I was like, wow, that's actually quite a bit. That's the first year. I just tracked my normal behavior. I didn't worry about budgeting. I wanted to see what it was. And I found out. So the next year, I put myself on a budget. I did not make it, but I did spend less. And then the third year was last year. I increased the budget because I got a little bit of a better job and things got more expensive. So again, trying to maintain it. But the key thing that I do, there's two things that I do. I keep my toy money separate from the rest of my money. I have a separate checking account at a separate place with a separate card, and it auto drafts from my paychecks every time I get paid. It's just a set amount. Every week I get paid weekly, and it just goes boop, 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 and it just is my toy money. Mm-hmm. And in theory, that's what I stick to. To Phil's point about shipping things being crazy now, sometimes that doesn't work, and sometimes you shift it over to a credit card and you get in trouble. But my effort is to just spend what I have allocated, what is auto drafting, what is set.
That's a cool plan.
My thought is that like you almost kind of have to do it in more like 3-month chunks rather than like 1 month because of that unknown. And that's where to me I would feel like I don't think I would be like, all right, this month's like great, like, you know, I'm under budget, so I'm gonna go treat myself and, you know, go to the Chosen Prime and pick up, you know, whatever it may be. Like that's where to me I feel like that I would still be like, even if I was under budget, to say, okay, well, I know, you know, that coming in the next couple, you know, few months or whatever, the second half of the year, it's gonna be worse, so.
Yeah, you're right. It's probably better to do it that way than monthly, but that's just how my mind works.
Right.
But within a 3-month time span, like you're saying, you're bound to get a wave of whichever of the main line you're collecting, or both. Unless it's the middle of the year last year between Legacy Wave 1 and 2, but that's not normal. There's bound to be an exclusive or two in there. There's bound to be something that you're after in there, maybe third party. Yeah, 3 months seems like a good budgeting strategy.
Can I add a suggestion onto that?
Sure.
Throw in an emergency fund, for lack of a better term, on top of that would be an idea I have. Couple
good
reasons.
idea.
Number one, give yourself a little bit of buffer for when things ship early or things don't ship on time. Number two, there's going to be stuff that you don't expect that you're going to want. Number three, things are going to go on sale, and you're going to find a deal on something that you're going to want that is kind of going to be a hard deal to pass up. Now, I'm not saying buy everything that's on sale just because it's a deal, but that's a whole thing that I'm a fan of, is stretch your budget. You know, and Ron was mentioning this in the chat of just like wait till stuff goes on clearance. Now, I get it. There are certain figures that you might say, I want this thing right out of the gate. I will pre-order point blank because, boy, howdy, I don't want to miss out on that dude. I will pre-order Breakdown because I want a full, complete Menasor. But there's a lot of the other figures in the line that, okay, I can wait. I can be patient. Nick really loved the new Legacy Armada Starscream. One of his top 5 toys of the year. I think that's a cool looking toy. I don't need to pay full price for it. I don't actually kind of need the toy at all. I want it, but I don't need it for my collection. So if I can wait till he drops, you know, to maybe somewhere around 50% off, I'm cool with that. I'm really happy to pick up that toy at that price. You know, I just jumped off screen because I wanted to go grab this toy right here, MP52 Plus. Paul, remind me, is this Skywarp or no? This is Thundercracker, correct?
That is correct.
Yep. The only reason I have this toy, and I haven't even gotten around to opening it yet, the only reason I have that toy is because he went like 40% off on Pulse over the summer. I think it's a cool toy. I'm excited to open it. The fact that I haven't opened it yet means maybe I shouldn't have bought it. But MP toys just take me a while to open because they take a while. You know, but like wait for sales for stuff. If you want to stretch your budget, wait for sales. And that's why I think it's important to have that sort of additional like 20% in your budget built in for sales and for unexpected releases that you're like, oh crap, didn't know this was coming. Here we go. Let's jump on this holiday prime, you know, bandwagon right here.
I don't necessarily believe in sales. Okay.
Neither do I, but I want to know why you don't.
I'm actually the same way, but yeah, go on. You're probably the same as me, Christian.
I think I'm the same as you. I used to get in a lot of trouble buying stuff on sale because, like, oh, it's on sale. It's such a deal. I should get it. Yeah. But you know what happens when you buy something on sale? You still spend that money. If it's not something that you really wanted, now you have spent extra money and gone over budget. There's a point to be had about the slush fund, I'm going to call it, Phil, for shipping early or unexpected ones. You know, that's definitely good. I got myself in trouble with sales.
I mean, it happens all the time. That's the whole like model for Kohl's. Like everything, if you pay full price for something at Kohl's, you're doing it very wrong. Because they entice people with having things on sale all the time. But and I've talked to you guys about this, and you guys have a different methodology, and you're thinking of this. I have toys tiered out in my mind. I have my A level toys that is like, need this, not need, want this, really want this, going to get this with the pre-order. Again, just gave you a couple examples there. And then I have the figures that I'm just like, you know what? This is a cool toy. I'd like to pick it up. I don't want to pay full price for it. And I can wait till I get on sale. Like I just got, recently, Legacy Blitzwing. Yeah. I was really lackluster on this toy because the alt modes are meh, in my opinion. But I got them on a really good price, a really good deal. Thank you, Paul. And I'm really glad I did, because this toy in hand, alt mode still suck, but the bot mode is fantastic. So, again, like, this is why I kind of like tier things out in my brain, because like the B level, C level toys, all right, I'll pick those up when they're 20% off, when Target sends out a coupon or something like that. And then like the C level, D level toys, like, all right, you know what? I'm going to wait till this pops up on clearance, or wait till there's some really good reviews about it. Legacy Bulkhead, didn't want it. Didn't want to get Legacy Bulkhead. You guys did a really, really nice review on it, said it was a great toy. He went on stupid cheap sales, throughout the year. So was able to get him, got a really cool toy at a really cool price. So that's part of my methodology. Again, it's being proactive around sales versus reactive around sales. You're thinking with things, Christian, as being a bit reactive around sales. My suggestion is to be proactive. And this is where I come back to the idea of the MPG Raiden figures. I have a suspicion that, well, I shouldn't say suspicion. I have both a suspicion and a hope that those will go on sale through Pulse in the summer, like they did their big sale last year. And if they don't, I'm not going to miss out on them too much. And the other thing too is, like, if you have tiered out lists, guess what? People need to sell their toys, and you can be in a Facebook group and say, hey, this guy's selling all those train bots, and he's selling them for 20% below retail. They've been opened, but all the pictures make them look like they're in good shape. The seller's got a good track record. I'm going to pick them up for a cheaper price. And again, that's being proactive around the toys that you want and the price that you're willing to pay for them. Because even toys that I really, really want, I don't necessarily want to pay what the full price is. Like I love the Titans figures. I don't think I've paid full price for a Titan figure in maybe since Metroplex. Because guess what? They all went on pretty big discounts around Black Friday, Cyber Monday.
Did Scorponok go on clearance?
He did not.
He did not. He was a COVID. So you're right. I paid full price for him. I didn't pay over, but I paid full price for Scorponok. That was like a weird COVID shipping shenanigans.
So I somewhat agree with Christian. Part of my thing is, I mean, to be honest, I feel like I already have enough Transformers. Like, I don't feel like I actually need more Transformers, right? So to me, I am constantly trying to come up with ways to only buy the things that I really, really like. And so if there's something I really, really like I want it, like, I'm not going to wait for months to hope that it goes on sale at some point. And so that's the thing, for me is that I'm kind of similar to Christian, where, I used to participate in the Black Friday sales all the time, like at Big Bad with a lot of these. And I can tell you that almost 100%, if not 100% of those figures that I purchased on sale, I ended up turning around and selling them at TFCon, TF Expo, wherever it may be. Like, they did not stay in my collection. I don't know. There may be, I'm sure that I could probably find one figure that I held on to, but for the most part,
what? Yeah. You know why these toys go on sale, right?
Because people don't want them.
Yeah, exactly. That's the only reason. Because they're inflationary. by nature, just by the limited nature of what they are. So the only it costs X amount to get the figure, and if you sell this stuff, you know that if you have something that's not moving, the way you get it to move is you drop the price until people can't resist, and then they get it.
Yeah, but we're also part of a fan. We are members of a fandom. We are some of the most knowledgeable members of this fandom. We're on a freaking podcast just about every week about this hobby. So there are things that we want that your average Tom, Dick, and Harry walking into a store ain't gonna give a flying bleep about. So we've got a skewed perspective on things. And my sentiment is that, there are figures, again, that will likely come down in price that I still will want to get. I just want to be patient on. And this is where it comes to stretching your budget.
That's also risky, it can't. These days, it doesn't really. You can do that more. We're in a period. We're like on a downslope right now. I feel like, and we're in a position where things don't sell out, like they did a little bit ago. Certain things do though. Anyone that thinks they're going to get those Stunticons at retail, you're out of your minds. You're out of your minds. Like that is, those things get snatched up so quick because people want them. And Christian, you can mute yourself because I can hear that clicking and it's going to kill me. Thank you. Sorry, man. Still love you.
Mr. Background noise over here.
Listen,
talking about.
You're gonna get on me about background noise. I'm gonna get on you because I just couldn't take it anymore. And I heard it the other night too, and it's like intermittent clicking hurts my head, and I can't be the only one.
I'm trying to make a beast box. It's not going well.
It does sound like it has meaty ratchets. Like those are.
It has 0 ratchets, so I'm not sure what you're hearing.
Then, oh man, it's like every 7 to 8 seconds. Anyways, where were we?
Yeah, it does pick it up though a little bit, Christian. So Paul, why don't you like sales? Like you had mentioned, is it the same reason that we mentioned, or something?
No, it was more of a joke because it's from the other side. Like I don't sell stuff for I don't discount stuff. It's just sort of I sell a lot of stuff and I don't drop the price. It's very rare that I would do something called a sale. I just feel like there's more creative ways to get someone to sell something than just to change the price. That's the easy way out.
I think I'm still damaged from the time, Paul, that you were mentioning stuff did sell out fairly regularly.
Yeah,
I don't know when that was necessarily. I can't put a pin on it.
But it was Earthrise.
Okay, cool.
So that was like maybe 2-3 years ago. It kind of goes in a 5-year.
2020?
Wait.
So my philosophy, and it's probably not a great philosophy, but it's the one I go by. It's probably similar to the one Lucas goes by. That if I don't like it enough to pay full price for it, then I shouldn't be buying it. If I can get a sale, it's fantastic. I managed to get the last wave of BotBots on sale because Movies Unlimited deep discount put them on sale instantly when they came out. That was cool. But that's more the exception rather than the rule. Like I'd rather pay full price and have it and secure it than try and gamble on a sale to save $5.
Well, that's an interesting situation because like it's the end of a line, and it's like wasn't really geared towards the main. It's like a whole new market.
Yeah.
And it was ending, so I think they underproduced. Also, no one wants it. When I say no one, I'm saying like the majority of people that they're maybe trying to get to buy it. You are one of the few. 10 years, people are going to be wanting BotBots.
I know. I should hold on to my extras this time.
Well, I mean, BotBots is separate anyway. I mean, I think that if there's a way to actually get them into the regular retail stores, I do think that they would sell. I think that
I did last time.
Yeah, I mean, kids like them and all that, but I don't know.
But anyway, yeah, the philosophy I have is if I don't like it enough to pay full price for it, then I shouldn't have it.
Well,
that makes sense.
It does, and you've been doing this long enough, and I think we all have, At least I like to think this. Like, I feel like, again, know thyself. I know what I'm gonna like and not gonna like.
Yep.
Like 99% of the time, I'm not gonna be surprised. I just kind of know what to expect. Like, oh, I'm gonna get that Tarn because I'm gonna like it. I just know I'm going to. One of the few was this. I was like, oh, this is actually bad. This Earthspark Deluxe.
I looked at it. I liked the character. I liked the alt mode. I looked at the toy and I was like, I'm not gonna like that very much.
Yeah, I still got it anyways. Kind of knowing, but like it's kind of worse than I thought. So, but it helps.
Sometimes that's what happens.
I think
For
it
those
just takes.
just listening, it was Earthspark Deluxe Megatron.
Yeah,
It was.
I think it takes a few years to get to the point where you do know yourself, where you can streamline what you can figure out what you like, what you don't like, and there might be phases of that as you start to meet other people, and you're like, oh, they like that, and you know respect that person's opinion. You might change your own a little bit.
Yep.
But you don't need everything, and if you jump in thinking you need everything, you definitely are gonna have to budget. I mean, the budgeting is to stop you from getting everything. It's to make you think about what you actually want. But I feel like if you know, go ahead.
My brain works a little bit differently than that, and there are times where I will see a toy and I will see production pictures of a toy, and it's like, meh, not too excited about this. And then I'll see a review, or Christian, you had one of the Studio Series Bumblebee Seekers in your room at TFCon. I was like, oh, it looks good. You see it in person, and suddenly it's just like, oh, that's. I get a more just a more hype reaction for something than the production pictures generate for me. So yeah, that's why I kind of want to tier things out. And sometimes there are characters that I do want, but I don't want to pay the full price for. And so what's his? Ah, gosh, dang it! The Lost Light Decepticon guy.
Cyclonus.
No. He was part of the Scavengers. Just came out in Legacy.
Rock. Crankcase.
Skids mold. Crankcase. Crankcase. I kind of want to get him to have that character. I don't really want the toy. You guys have vouched for the toy, said it's a better toy than it kind of looks. And that's what I've got flagged on Amazon for, hey, once this goes on sale, I'll probably pick it up. And that's, again, that's a tier B toy / character for me.
Now that you've explained that does make sense to me. I don't think it's something I could do. Just that's how my version of this works. But it does make sense. And I'm glad you can do it. And I hope others can do it.
And my methodology for this is I have a shopping list set up on Amazon, and I check that maybe once a day, every couple days, especially when you get closer to the holidays and stuff's more on sale. You're like, all right, cool. This is now at a price that I feel comfortable paying for it. And a lot of that stuff here, the thing is that if I don't ever get it, I kind of don't feel like I missed out that much. And maybe that does mean I need to cut back on my spending, but I'd say the success rate, the hit rate on that is more often than not that I have been happy with the toy that I've picked up from doing something like that than I have when, with the stuff that I've picked up. I'm like, ooh, yeah, now I can see why this toy went on clearance.
I mean,
I can't do it. My FOMO's too severe, but
right.
I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I do think that there's a fair amount of toys in Legacy where I didn't really know whether or not I would like it, I don't know. Like there's a fair amount just because we're getting, those G1ified characters from other universes where it's hard to tell whether or not you actually like them or not. Like Bulkhead is a good example of that. So, or Override, several of those kind of ones where it's like, oh, am I really going to like this?
If it's Override, yeah.
That's
Override,
crazy.
I'm still not convinced. Override, I kind of want to see someone who's got it and mess with theirs because
oh, dude, she's so good. Get her
Good
before she
figure.
evaporates.
Yeah.
Both of those are like on clearance. All
You
across.
need to hurry on Override.
Okay.
Yeah. I've seen it as low as $11. It's crazy.
I don't make it out to
Wow.
Walmart's too often.
Well, I saw
She's
like
like
someone post a
$5
photo
off
of. I didn't.
online last time
okay.
I saw.
Well, all those became hauler and override are $25. And they have been like store wide, like franchise.
Yeah, Hauler's definitely gone on sale.
Yeah, if you're thinking about Override, go ahead and get her. She's very good, and she's going to evaporate and be gone and be in demand later.
Yeah, just blows my mind. That's such a clear, like, going to be worth. Like, everyone's going to want that toy. Why don't they get it right now? Why?
She's fantastic.
They're snoozing.
The only way it doesn't work is if they do the Dark Nitro convoy, which that's a whole other thing.
See, but here's where I come back to about Override, is that we are at the upper end of collecting. Like, for us, Override is an important character. You know, most folks walking down the toy aisle, it's like, it's a red and white car.
Sure, but the collectors will grow over time, and they're going to want that thing. It is so painfully obvious.
It's like Greenlight.
Seen it 300 times.
Yeah.
Greenlight's a good example of that, where you're like, you know, there's just not a lot of other Greenlights out there. So, you know, even though no one, you know, the average person doesn't know who it is, like, you know, if you want a Greenlight in your collection, you got to get that one.
So crazy.
That was pretty wild.
I can't tell you how many of those I had at one point. I didn't know it was going to become a $500 toy.
That really got out of hand. It's
still
out
at hand. It's like
crazy.
on planet. It's on the moon.
That was ridiculous.
I keep asking.
Well,
that's why you make
can't
sure
I
you
sell
budget
that figure?
those in.
Right.
Well, but this goes against what Phil has kind of been saying, or maybe it goes along. Like, sometimes you need to just pay full price if you want it.
Someone like Phil, as savvy as he is, would have seen that Greenlight's, that's the only one there is. I bet he got her at full price.
No, dude, that one, no one saw that one coming. It was available on Amazon.com. You could have bought 100 of them at a time. No one did.
No one?
No, they were up for the long. They were the longest.
They were up
exclusive.
for a really long time.
It's just so
That's
hilarious.
The stuff I mean, go back 100 episodes, you can hear me harping on the Earthrise stuff that people were missing out on. The Seekers and the Ironhide Prowl thing and the whatever. It's like, guys, those were up for months. You could order them. Some people did have their orders canceled. Again, I said that back then. Probably listen to me say the exact same things. Anyway, exclusives are a little bit different than mainline. Make sure you budget for those.
Right.
All right, I just ordered
exclusive
an Override.
reissues. Probably no one cares. You're probably all fine. See, there you go.
I just ordered.
I bet that came out of your slush
$25
fund too, didn't
was
it, Phil?
Ron. Yeah, Ron just said she's $25 on Walmart right now. I got her for pickup at a store that's on my drive home from work, so I don't even have to pay shipping. So, all right. And this is probably why I don't have a budget, because I will make stupid choices like this.
Well, we just peer pressure you into doing it. So, if you want to budget,
I trust you guys.
Don't
you guys
have
say
friends
she's
in
a good
the
toy. And ultimately, I that's my thing, is I like good toys. There's times where I have toys of characters I'm not the biggest fan of, but like, oh, this is a good toy.
this one.
I wish you had a cyber key, Phil.
I do too.
But it's still pretty cool.
All right. Is there any other toys, Phil, that you haven't purchased that we can try to get you to buy? What else is on your maybe list?
In the last 12 months, the show has got me to buy Bulkhead, which I've been happy about.
Yeah.
This show has got me to buy Ironhide, which I've been happy about. I'm just like looking down at my recent acquisitions, and now you got me to buy Override. So you're 2 for 2 so far.
What about this Megatron?
Oh, dude,
I've seen
TM2
that
Megatron?
in hand.
Huh?
So
That's a
good.
toy I'll buy on sale.
Ooh, I don't know, man.
You may not be able
Well,
to. I don't
it's
know.
coming. It's getting. Here's the thing.
Repackaged.
Oh,
Yeah.
is it getting repackaged?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
evolution.
it's wave one of evolution leaders.
Yeah, evolution is bringing back like
I have
all the
everybody.
latest leaders.
big
Blitzwing.
badass son of a bitch right here behind
Laser
me.
Prime.
The Perfect Effects Transmetal 2 Megatron, and that thing is.
I didn't like it when I had it as Cryotech.
Well, you were wrong.
That's okay.
Yeah, Catherine has a good point. She says if you had to budget, just put the money away when you pre-order, and so then you know how much it's going to be. You just don't
Rob
know
does
when,
that.
so save it.
Yeah.
So,
That's a fair practice.
That's the smart thing to do.
yeah,
It's smart to put it in another account like you're doing, Christian, so
right.
you don't have to think about it every time you look at the balance.
Yeah.
So
I think I'm
Christian,
halfway in between. I don't stash it for later. I just feed it consistently.
Christian, you and Lucas have both mentioned something, and I know all four of us do this. Are there things you do to increase your budget for toys?
What, are you talking about Dononomics? No, I
What
mean,
now?
I guess Don was off by the time you got here. Anyway, it's an
No,
old term.
Dononomics. You don't know about
knew
Dononomics,
Dononomics.
Phil?
I didn't know about Dononomics. No, I didn't know that was a
Oh,
thing.
man.
Classic.
It's creative accounting, essentially.
Classic transformerism
But yeah.
right there.
Typically, if I sell something that goes into the toy budget, I recently won a bet with my sister, and that went into my toy budget. It wasn't a large bet, but I was
How
totally
many-
right.
How long did it take you to drink the gallon of milk?
It was not that. It was which animatronic on a mini golf course in Myrtle Beach said a phrase.
Oh.
And I know it because it says it every night in my nightmares. But she was like, no, it's the other one. I was like, okay, bet. And so she paid me $25 for that.
Woo! That's a deluxe.
That's a deluxe right there, baby.
Minus without tax.
The other thing I do, which is just a feature of my toy account and why I kind of opened it in the first place, my toy money is with Discover. It's just a checking account. But it was a really weird thing. I don't know if they still do it, but it's a 1% cash back on everything I spend in that, which is not a lot, but it's more than just a normal checking account. Who gives cash back on a debit account? Nobody. So at the end of the year, it's typically, $30 to $50, and I get a thing with that. It's not a lot, but it's free money essentially.
I love doing stuff like that thought process you just talked about, Christian, and what I just talked about with the money from the bet, like equating, if I do X, that is equivalent to a extra toy. If I save on XYZ, that's an extra liter if I can shop my cable bill. So that's, I don't know, doing things like that, equating things not just from the abstract concept of money, but to the more concrete concept of like, this is what that money would actually purchase me. I think that kind of helps me as well to put things in perspective.
You can also go overboard. It's kind of a slippery slope.
I think anyone can go overboard depending upon the type of person you are. I mean, if you look at my basement right now, I look like a hoarder. So yes, maybe I have gone overboard.
Yeah,
That's not what I
we all
meant.
have mild to moderate to major addictions to this stuff.
Phil, I didn't mean that. I meant take the, if I do this, it equates to this many toys, or this equates to a masterpiece. This equates to the whole masterpiece line. As far as like trying to make a return on your collecting knowledge and investment, if you will.
I don't know. I also do that with like other things where like I'll have, if there is like some annoying paperwork to do, but I'll get like, a rebate from Menards. I just got to fill out that rebate paperwork. And it's like, most people don't do that. It's annoying, but it's like, oh, if I fill out this rebate, they'll send me a check for $20. It's like, all right, there's 2 court class toys on sale. It's like, okay. Or it's like, hey, back in the day, how long would it have taken me to make that $20 when I was, working in high school? That would have been a couple hours of work back then. So, spend 5 minutes to fill out that paperwork and drop that stuff in the mail. You spend 10 minutes on that. it's way better hourly rate of income than most jobs.
I do catch
Feels
myself
like
sometimes
all of
thinking
my
about
stock market,
my rate.
Feels like all of my stock market profits just go straight into toys.
Profits in the market in this day and age. Oh,
in this
you
economy,
funny, Lucas. You're funny.
Right. So Ron does mention in the chat that he sold a bunch of his older stuff, Combiner Wars, Titan Returns, Power of the Primes, and put that back into his collection too. So that's, I know all of us have kind of sold stuff at, various places, eBay, conventions, whatever, to funnel that money back into the budget.
And it's kind of interesting for me how like this has become the norm for this hobby. Whereas if you had asked me 10 years ago if I would have, I'd be like, no, I'm going to keep these toys forever. Like, because that was what you did. Like, you didn't replace your G1 toys. You don't replace your Beast Wars toys. So the idea that it's so common for us these days to just sell off the old stuff because we're replacing with something better is, I think it's a good sign for the hobby that we're getting better toys, but it's also just like changed how we as collectors have to, shift our thinking. I mean, unless you're like Nick or Peter, where you're just going to hold on to it forever. What's that?
It sneaks up on you.
It does. Yeah. Because I'm of an age where it was, no, I'm going to hold on to these toys forever, ever, because they're amazing. And I just assume I'm going to do that for all my toys. And no, that's not necessarily the case.
I don't sell my toys, like my actual collection.
Yeah.
It's always growing, which is why I had to cut it down so much.
I thought you had did sell some of your stuff, like animated maybe, or
yeah, I have basically been I don't like things that are finite, that are not going to continue on in perpetuity. I'm like, I don't need this anymore. I thought I started collecting animated because I was like, this will go on forever. Oops, I guess Prime will. The Prime is so good, it'll go on. This is the new train. This is Generation 3 or something, Nope.
Right.
And then ever since then, it's like everything's been so piecemeal, except the movies. Movies have persisted as its own sort of micro brand.
But I thought it was a reboot.
Nope.
So this is
Still
really
the same
why,
universe.
It's trying to trigger you.
This is really, Paul, why you want them to have a reboot, isn't it? So that you can say, all right, cutting it off, now I can dump all that stuff. It's done.
No, from a financial standpoint, I don't want them to ever reboot it. That's a large group of human beings on Earth's Transformers, and the other stuff is a joke.
Right.
And that's how it will be divergent. It'll be like G.I. Joe in the 80s when all the old dudes were like, I don't want who are these snake men? This is stupid. I like my dude running around in the forest with no shirt on and a knife that's 12 inches tall. That's
Kung Fu grip.
Yeah, that's G.I. Joe for a large group of people, and they reimagined it so well in the 80s, and now they've lost, they haven't rebranded it yet. And it's kind of dying because of that.
Dang snake terrorists.
They're
So I guess
trying to rebranding and it didn't stick.
Yeah. So from a financial perspective, the longer the cinematic universe as we know it persists, the longer those toys have a life. The longer it's going to keep going. And I think it might be going forever.
7 films deep, I feel like this is the aesthetic that Bumblebee will probably always look like that in the movies.
It's got to tank. It's got to die. It's got to be a real painful death spiral before they will really jump out of that and try something new.
Do I do anything else budgetary wise? I don't think so. It's really about, for me, it's know yourself, keep records, so track, or at least, definitely track, absolutely track. I keep separate money. That doesn't always work, but I'm trying. That's
Yeah.
my strategy. Oh, and yeah, the whole thing about if I don't like it enough to pay full price, don't buy it on sale.
Yeah. Well, and I don't know. I know myself personally. Like there hasn't been a lot of stuff that's been produced in the last few years that I've been really unhappy with. I mean, I think that everything we've like, there's certain things where you're like not a, certain figures you're not excited as other ones, but I
Yep.
don't think that there's anything where I regret purchasing it.
For me, it's those train bots, but as far as mainline goes, no.
Right.
For me, it might be the Robosin trailer.
Oh,
Ooh.
oof. Oh, yeah, yeah. You have to show that off, Paul. Like when you get that, can we do a live unboxing?
No, I
just
got
so
it.
I could see.
I got it.
You got
Just-
it. All right.
You can see the disappointment in my face.
Yes.
I heard about the disappointment in your face.
I mean, so what's it like just to light money
So
on
big.
fire, Paul?
It's not good. It feels pretty freaking awful. I'll tell you that.
Oh.
I think, Christian, your point about know thyself is probably the best piece of universal advice you can give here, because you've got a system, and Christian, I'm sorry, Lucas's system is similar to that. I've got a different system, but I know
You got a different system.
Yeah, I've got a different system, but I kind of know myself, and I was doing this system prior to COVID, and then COVID threw everything off, and I jumped on the pre-order bandwagon, and I was like, no, pre-orders are not my friends these days. Pre-orders are my friends for my tier A characters and tier A toys, and other things I can be patient on.
I think that's fair. Know yourself and know which system you can use.
Yeah.
I can't use Phil's system. Phil probably can't use my system. Doesn't mean either of them are invalid. We're different people. Have a system, I think, is probably another broad advice.
Yeah, no, that's a really solid one. It seems so, no brainer, but some people just don't. They just go hog wild.
I've been there, and it's a fun thing to do. But then you're constantly running out of money. You're like, why don't I have any money? Oh,
yeah.
Pile of plastic,
and you're panic selling on Facebook.
Oh yeah.
Well, Charlie mentioned earlier in the chat that just get a second job for toys, and then there you go.
I did that for a while, actually. I didn't go into it with that intention, but it kind of ended up that way. It was weird. It worked. It was nice. I quit it because I valued my time more, but there's nothing wrong with that.
Jose, quite a bit earlier in the chat, did bring up something that we haven't really touched upon, and that was budgets for going to a convention. And that is this whole own separate beast. And I think that is really good advice to, walk in there and say, hey, this is what I'm going to spend. And, unless I find like an absolute grail, and no, don't go in there and say like, oh gosh, Holiday Prime, that's my grail. Like, no, it's not. Stop it. You just missed out and you want it. But if you do find something like, oh crap, this is a grail of mine. I've wanted this toy for 15 years, and here it is. It's good condition, good price. And, you don't have to be 100% slave to your budget, but no, you're going to have consequences to blowing your budget. But yeah, having a budget for a convention is darn smart.
Yeah, I would definitely say to set a budget for a convention, especially if it's, if you're pretty new to the convention scene and haven't went before. It is very easy to spend money at a convention. So
I feel like very impressed with myself for going to the last two TF cons, or maybe it was the one in Baltimore, or not Baltimore, the first one in Washington, Reston or whatever. Mm-hmm. I didn't buy anything in the sales floor. I couldn't believe it. Like that's kind of insane to me to go to a convention. That clearly my thought process has changed, or my reason for going has changed. That it's not just to go buy stuff.
Right.
And that's part of, I think, late stage transformerism. Like now having people that you want to see that are more important than the toys, even though that's what brought you together in the first place. And
I bought very little this past year in Chicago.
Yeah.
I bought a really cool Cloud Rodimus this past year.
Oof.
Yeah.
Got a great price on him too. Beautiful toy.
That is a great toy.
Yeah.
Did you get it from
no,
Christian?
Yeah, I got it from Orson.
As if
Yeah,
I'd ever
Orson.
sell mine.
I kind of
Yeah.
sniped it from Lucas to a mild extent.
It's an awesome figure.
Yeah. So, but yeah, no, I think we kind of were all in that boat where I think, sold more. It's like when you start selling more stuff at conventions versus buying it.
Yeah, something that was interesting when you talk about funneling it back in. I think Anna made up her entire spending budget last year at TFCon by selling stuff. I think she broke even, or at least came very, very close.
And we're not talking like for that weekend. When Christian says
No,
that
her
he
entire
means, like,
year.
Yeah.
Yeah, but she thinks of it in more terms like that than we do.
Well, that's the whole
She
thing. That
tracks closer than I do.
That's one thing I didn't hear. Now I'm realizing we're getting to the end here. But like, there's a point you get to where, like, if you spend a few $1,000s a year on this stuff, you might want to get to the point where you're not spending any new money, and then so your budget is kind of circular, or it's in the value of the collection, and then when you want something new, you can like sell something to then get something. There's some people that operate that way. I don't think any of us do exclusively, but it's kind of nice because then the budget kind of runs itself unless you decide to like add new money to it.
Like you said, it's no new money. It's cyclical.
So yeah, you've already paid. You've already paid a certain budget, but like if it doesn't grow past that, and that way your collection actually raises in value kind of over time, if that matters to you. I mean, ultimately, if you're spending this kind of money on this hobby, like you have to deal with this stuff if you're going to do it long, unless you give up and you're like, I don't like this. I spent too much money and I don't know what I'm doing. I'm getting out of here. And I don't get any joy from this. So I think that's kind of where, if you're in it if you think you're going to be into collecting these toys for like 5 to 10 years, I think that's kind of where you want to get a good, like, whether it's based on space or something, like get something where it doesn't expand beyond that and set those limits. And if you can keep rotating stuff out, you'll never have to spend any money on Transformers. It takes a lot of work and discipline, but it can be done.
Yeah,
I would say that is harder to do than what you're describing, because while there is the occasional green light that will shoot up in value and pay for a whole chunk of your toys for the year, majority of the stuff you're buying will immediately devalue as soon as you get it home and take it out of the package.
Well, okay. I mean, so which one's right? Anna selling all her toys to make up for last year, or people can't do this? Because to me, it sounds like it's not incredibly
it's somewhere in between, realistically.
Yeah. I just think it's a different way to do it.
Lucky in this fandom that our toys actually maintain their value. That's unusual. Even if your deluxes go from $25 when you bought them to $18 in a couple months, that's still a fair amount of value. I mean,
they like follow the inflation schedule.
They do. It's very strange.
Like prime deluxes that were maybe $10 back in the day, you'll sell just any old one, the same condition, for like $30-$40.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, our good pals Transformerland put up some Prime figures last week, and I was like, "Holy crap! Wheeljack's a $60 figure? Cliffjumper's an $80 figure? Not the first edition one, the second one. Like, when did that happen?" It's like, oh wow, that's kind of neat. That's unusual.
Depends where you were looking.
It's true. Depends on where you're looking. The collector stuff is that way, but especially at that time, Prime was like for kids, not necessarily for collectors. We're unusual. We were unusual. We're less unusual these days. So it's just cool that our stuff maintains value. That's not usual. Like, Lucas, you and I have both sold Marvel Legends. Was there any money in that? No. Try and sell Black Series.
Right.
Nothing.
Star Wars is worth nothing. Like Marvel Legends, like there's a handful of figures that are worth, like say if it's a limited run and they hadn't reissued it yet, like it's worth money. But outside of that, it's not. But yeah, it's like Transformers is like the one that's like just completely different than everything else because like most of those figures maintain value. Like every figure, I would say, probably maintains more value than other lines.
It's because they're not dolls. It's because they're.
I think that's exactly right.
It takes effort. Now I was thinking about this before we started the show. Like, I think Transformers must make Hasbro a lot more money than Marvel and Star Wars. Because why would they have that many unique? Like the parts counts are crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Like I know they might sell more Marvel and Star Wars, but they're not making as much like profit because it's license fees and all that. But even though they're a lot less pieces to make, each toy is unique.
Well, and the prices are the same. I mean, look at a Studio Series Deluxe versus a Black Series normal figure versus a Marvel Legends normal figure versus a G.I. Joe Classified series. The unlicensed stuff is way more parts, but they're all $25. That's wild.
Oh, so Ron
That's
says you
wild
can
out.
get your money back on exclusives with Star Wars Black Series. So I'm sure
Okay.
there's probably
And
some,
Cara Dune.
There's some that I'm sure you could probably like make money back, but like for the most part,
That means the
Star Wars
situation
is
has
just-
improved.
It's still bad. Marvel Legends is a little better.
Are you also talking about like open figures, like played with, loose? Does that matter?
Yeah.
Yes.
For us, it doesn't necessarily matter, which is kind of cool. I mean, it matters
will say with Star
a
Wars,
little bit, but it's not. Star Wars, yeah, that's
Star Wars.
if
God,
you're selling loose figures, you got nothing.
There's not. Yeah, they're worthless. But I will say even packaged stuff. Like I couldn't get rid of packaged stuff. It is just like light your money on fire kind of thing as far as with that Star Wars stuff. Like I just quit buying Star Wars because I was like, this is just ridiculous.
Come on, Darth Raven, whatever his name was, he was.
And then they reissued him.
Yep, still worth money.
Yeah, all right, cool.
Okay, whatever. Like,
I'm sorry. Black Series ain't no Robuston trailer.
I'm sorry that there's a handful of like Star Wars figures that are actually worth money, but
I'm gonna cut back on my Star Wars Black Series buying too. Oh, what's this? An alert for the new Mandalorian trailer. All right, there goes my second mortgage.
Moff Gideon.
So, but yeah, no, like I do think, as Ron said, we don't have infinite space, and I know, he's the same as I that I try to limit my collection to what I can display. Personally.
What if you have an infinity closet?
That's true.
An interface. We'll see how that goes. I've been storing stuff because I've lived in apartments until now. So now it's like I've got a dedicated space. It's bigger. I'm getting new furniture. Can I display it all? What happens if I can't? I'll find out in a couple months.
I'm kind of in the same situation, Christian. I've sort of made a promise to myself and my family, in a way, just that we just moved houses. I'm going to put up a display, and I'm going to get rid of stuff that doesn't fit in it because I don't want to be
that guy.
I don't want it to be hidden away in a closet somewhere anymore. So we'll see. We'll see what makes the cut and what doesn't. My guess is the Starscreams will make the cut somehow, but everything else is probably gone.
You and I should do a micro show on that this year.
It's gonna take me a year and a half.
Yeah,
it's gonna take a long. So just anyone listening that's like, wow, let's see how that plays out. Well, it's gonna be a while. So
your collection is more vast than mine, but we'll both get there.
Yeah,
trimming the fat is not quick or easy if you want decent money.
Also,
I'm excited
when you have a bunch of grails.
Oh yeah, you have a bunch of grails. I don't. I mean, I got one or two, but I've never seen it all together, and I'm very interested to see it all together and be like, all right, does all of this fit? Is all of this what I want?
It might scare you.
Stuff. Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah, I don't know if even Paul's seen all his stuff all together in the last 10 years.
More than that, it's been in separate locations.
Separate states, for that matter.
I moved a large chunk of it once, and I had to do so much work. I had to I used Google SketchUp or something. It doesn't even exist anymore. It's a 3D modeling program to figure out which moving truck I had to get that I could fit everything in. It was the only way, because all the bins were the same size, so I had to make this room, and it worked. But that thing was full. And it wasn't the smallest truck.
And then your business partner shows up with the wrong size trailer when you're going out to TFCon.
I didn't use a 3D model. Actually, no, the measurements were wrong. It was the outer size instead of the inner box size.
Okay.
A few inches here and there when you were straight up to the walls, gonna cause some issues. But that was fun. We made that work.
But I guess that's a different show.
I mean, that's so much stuff. That's literally a studio apartment. No space to walk around, just that big of stuff. And that's too much. There's no that's not a collection, that's a burden. So just not trying to make anyone feel bad.
I do wonder that, though, talking to Rick, Peter, Nick, and whatnot is at what point does it become a burden?
I think it becomes. It becomes a burden a lot sooner than you acknowledge, and then once you do acknowledge it, it doesn't mean you just instantly fix it. You just figure out how to live with it.
Peter acknowledged it's become. I mean, I think for a while he's acknowledged it's become a burden, but he finally decided to change in the last year. Nick has for a long time said it's a burden, but still plows through, and Rick doesn't think it's a burden and chugs right along.
It really takes moving to, I think, bring the truth out for you.
I think Rick mentioned something about that when he moved, that for some reason I thought he said that he had multiple moving trucks for his Transformers collection. There was more space devoted to that than there was to all the rest of their stuff, I think. So.
Yeah, Rick really needs a facility or something, a museum. Yeah. He's got he has that caliber of stuff, and the pedigree to do it. So I'm kind of surprised he hasn't. Maybe he will someday. That'd be cool.
Yeah, definitely. So, all right. So it sounds like we've hit on a lot of topics tonight. So I don't know. Do we have any other tips before we head out?
Well, I want to know the outcome of this. Where are you headed, Lucas, with your budgeting?
Oh, I mean, I already kind of decided that I was wanting to, try to set more of a budget. I think it's a little bit easier for me with Legacy and with the new lines, just because they're pulling a lot of the characters from different universes. And so I feel like I can kind of draw a line a little bit with it. It is hard, though. And the thing that's hard for me is a lot of those other characters, they do put a lot of love in them. And so then, Phil was saying, it's oh, I wasn't going to get Override, but Override's a really good toy, or, those types of things. So that's the thing that's kind of hard, for me. But, yeah, I think, one way I was kind of thinking about it a little bit myself too is Christian, I think you had mentioned or whatever that some of the next wave is shipping, right? And I have the stuff from Amazon, there was stuff that was getting fulfilled from Amazon, and it was really kind of interesting to me, in my own mind, of like kind of looking at like what is the stuff that, oh man, like I kind of want to cancel from Pulse and try to get immediately from Amazon, versus what's the stuff that it's like, well, if I don't get it for a bit, oh well, kind of thing. So like that's where I kind of was thinking about it. I was like, well, if like half the figures that I'm like, oh whatever, I can wait till whenever the heck. Like, do I really need that then? If I'm not excited for those figures coming in, does that need to be a part of my collection?
You just hit on one of my rules, so I would say no.
Yeah.
Until someone peer pressures you to get them anyway.
Right. So, but I do think some of those, because I guarantee the ones that I'm probably not excited about is probably the same ones that other people aren't as excited about. And so to Phil's, thing, it's like if I end up having FOMO, then I, probably can get them on clearance at a later date, like, kind of wrapping back to what Ron said. Because, yeah, the Stunticons are not the one, those are the ones I'm trying to complete Minosaur, So.
I mean, I was super excited for Hotshot to arrive, and he's all right.
You know who's not just all right? Dinosaur.
Been trying to get a new breakdown order. I didn't order them at Amazon. Got mine at Pulse. I haven't shipped them.
I don't know
Yeah,
why I
same
got
here.
breakdown from Amazon versus Pulse, but I'm glad I did because now I have them in. Yeah. This is an awesome combiner.
For my concluding thought, I think I'm fairly reachable, listeners. If you want to talk about this stuff with somebody, I'm open to talk about it. I don't want to go into specifics about how much I spend and how much I save and all that stuff, but if you want to know more, I will help you. Been doing this for a while.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
That's what I have to say about that. I'll do what I can. It can be tough. It can be tough to budget. It can be tough to figure out what you've been spending all this time. I've been through that.
Right.
I will say, along those lines, if you're having any sort of issues with your family about your spending, figure out how much you're spending now and rein that in before it gets to be overblown.
Yep. This hobby takes money. It just does. It's about spending money. But if it's making it so that the rest of your life is difficult, maybe have a second look.
Yep. I do want to mention book club this week is going to be Lost Light 19 and 20, I believe. I think is what I saw. So those are really cool books. So if you want to hop in, I honestly, I'm kind of tempted to join book club this week because those are a couple of my favorites. So
what's that story at that point?
What's that?
What's the story at that point in the book?
Well, you can join book club and discuss it. I think it's.
I think they're getting to the end of the quest, right?
Yeah. Okay. So, Lost Light 25 is the very last one. 20 is kind of the, kind of getting close to some of that Pentultimate stuff. Like some of the things are going down.
Yep.
With 20. So that is on the TF Talk Discord. That is 9:30 Eastern, 8:30 Central. So anyway, but yeah, thank you guys for joining me tonight, and thank you to everyone in the chat. Thanks to Zaldron and Ron and Catherine, and thanks to Jose. Thanks to Charlie. Yeah.
Thanks to Amazon for shipping my breakdown.
There you go.
Thanks, Bezos.
All right. Well, thanks, guys, and we will see you next week.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.